Does imposing a prohibitively expensive $2,000 quarantine hotel on these individuals implicate their fundamental rights? Is this limit on our rights justified in a free and democratic society? Today, we'll be joined by our panel of guests to discuss these important questions. We'll be joined by Dr. David Poon, the founder of the family reunification organization Faces of Advocacy, to talk about the impact this new restriction is having. And then we'll be joined by our panel of legal experts, Professor Dwight Newman and Professor Bakan, to talk about the constitutionality of these measures. Dr. Poon, thank you so much for joining us. Your family reunification organization, Faces of Advocacy, was founded at the beginning of COVID. Could you tell me a little bit about it and what inspired you to start it?
Thank you for the question. In short, when the restrictions were announced in Canada and implemented in the middle of March 2020, families were actually not allowed to reunite. So you could have a pregnant partner in Windsor, Ontario, their partner in Detroit wasn't actually allowed to come during the pregnancy. The Face of Advocacy began because we felt that family was essential. Now, during the course of the year, they had allowed some exemptions to the current COVID travel restrictions. So, for example, they allowed married couples, common law couples, which in Canada refers to 1 year continuous living, very difficult for long distance families, dependent children, as well as parents. The problem was it left out committed partners, LGBTQ plus couples, those who couldn't marry for religious or personal reasons, as well as siblings, adult children. So we were left in a very difficult situation. Because of that, the Faces of Advocacy successfully petitioned the government to allow extended family and compassionate exemptions in October. So our argument is that we are not asking for open borders, we are just asking to be together safely.
So that's incredible work you guys have been doing. Now, with respect to the new restrictions and the $2,000 requirement to quarantine in these government hotels, what have you been hearing from your members about these new requirements?
The challenge is, while we are technically allowed to still reunite safely, the $2,000 requirement is prohibitive to a lot of people. Now, many of us, we're in fortunate positions, we can afford that. But a vast majority of the comments we've been getting are those who simply are unable to pay that amount of money. So to put it in the context of issues we had last year, imagine your mother is dying, you want to go see her before she passes away, the government will let you if you have $2,000. Or you're paying for treatment for a health condition. We had a young woman with cancer last year whose UK fiance finally won the right to come and be with her. But if the UK fiance already is paying thousands for a ticket, how can they also afford the extra for the quarantine hotel?
So is the biggest concern that you have from your members, is it the cost, or is it being required to stay in this government hotel instead of a private home?
So I'm no legal expert, but most definitely we have a great issue with being forced into a government isolation group. Now, for example, from my understanding, those in Korea does have mandatory hotels, but for family reunification, they are allowed to quarantine with their family. What is the point of trying to reunify family if you just put further barriers to it? So not only is it a cost, but also the principle of doing something essential, like being with your loved one or being there for your loved one, and suddenly having a roadblock put there.